What's going on, YouTube? Claic Yuzolt back again with another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius banner review, and today, I'm showing off my new camera. That's right. Before we get into this awesome review, I do have a new camera. I'm working with the colors still. I'm working with how I want it to look, but my God, does this look a lot better than the old webcam I had, all right? So that's pretty cool, but in today's review, we are reviewing A2 and 2B. Before we get into that, I do want to mention that 9S, Eve, and 210, they all have amazing TMRs that you guys are going to be able to farm Moogles from the raid, I'm assuming. So I would definitely get in there and try to get a hold of those. Pod is still good. 30% HP is still good. Mechanical Heart, these are all amazing. Remember, this is a limited time banner. So I would at least be trying to get those TMRs if you missed out on this at first, or you are currently still... well, how am I say this? Still missing them from the first time, because I know a lot of people still got kind of screwed on the first time too. So I'd be looking out for those. So let's go into our first unit review, and that is going to be for A2. So A2 coming out of the gate is not going to be the same as JP, and a lot of people aren't happy about that. If you hear my puppy barking in the background, I'm sorry. He's going nuts. It's Thanksgiving. He's popping off. Also, happy Thanksgiving to everybody who watches this today. I hope you're having an amazing Thanksgiving, and if you're not from the US or celebrating Thanksgiving, have a cool day anyway. Have some turkey and a beer on, you know, for us here in America. It'll be tasty. Anyway, moving on down, we do have the TMR Beast Lord, and this is going to be very important, right? As any 7-star goes, they're going to have to be using their TMR in most cases to be able to get their TMR ability. So some are skippable, as we've talked about before, but we're going to have to look into that and see how that is. Beast Lord wasn't that great of a great sword after a lot of things have happened. You know, there's no element on it. It is single-handed. Beast Roar really isn't an ability you care to use too much, so we're going to have to look into that. But let's look at this STMR real quick. General Trader, increase attack 80% with a greatsword. That's automatically extremely powerful. Like, that's alone is great, right? We're trying to reach that 400% threshold that now the attack pre-battle stats have been raised to. And then we also have increased physical and magic damage against mechanical monsters, 50% on top of that. So this could go on the magic part. I know that it increases greatsword, but we do have a lot of hybrid users out there, so this could be good for both. Now, when I'm referring to should you keep 2 7-star A2s or get the STMR, I am almost always in the camp of getting the STMR, strictly because it's just hard to build up 2 units that are going to be just as good as you using a friend unit. However, with it being a limited time banner, with A2 having really limited chaining friends right now, you may want to keep 2 A2 around just to be able to chain with yourself. That's up to you. However, this STMR is fantastic, okay? Moving on down, let's go ahead and look at the abilities that we get here at 7-star. We can remember that offensive heal combo was kind of A2's thing. What we would do is we would use A2's limit burst. She would berserk out, get super strong, hurt herself a bit, hurt the enemy, and then we would offensive heal combo. And it was, you know, it wasn't the easiest to double chain, but it was okay. So that's something we had before. Now it's 7-star. We can see that we're getting a W cast, which is actually different than her JP counterpart. And I see a lot of people hating on this a little bit. But I honestly think that A2 was made better, the global version. I understand that a lot of people may disagree with me, but hear me out. Let me talk about it for a bit, okay? We do get W cast. She's going to be able to W cast everything, including offensive heal combo, added to her kit, along with everything else she can go ahead and cast twice. So we're going to be looking at that later, but W cast is always a good thing to be added. Moving on down, we do have Avoid Heavy Attack. This is going to be her new chaining ability she gets at 7-star. 6 times the one enemy, not very high on the multiplier there, guys, for a 7-star. Normally one a little bit higher, but there's probably a way to increase that a little bit anyway, maybe through our passives. Looking down, it also decreases attack and magic by 50%, which is going to be awesome. So essentially, if you're using this to chain with, instead of offensive heal combo, you could use either one, I do believe. Let's see, looking at it, you know, either way. You're going to be able to have an attack and magic break on all the time while doing damage. I think a lot of people are overlooking this. I like that a lot, right? You're never going to have to worry about breaking the attack and magic because you're constantly just chaining with Avoid Heavy Attack and laying that on. I mean, that is really strong for a chainer, right? I mean, I love that. Looking on down, that is the chaining family of Absolute Mirror of Equity. If we look at this chaining family here, I'll go ahead and click on that. We can look down, Dracu Lastwell, Machina, CG Lastwell, and now A2 is being added into this. There are going to be units in the future that are added to this, some high-tier units. So this chaining family is small right now, kind of hard to work with, but in the future it's going to grow. It's going to become a very mainstay name inside of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. So don't sleep on Absolute Mirror of Equity, because it's going to be good for you guys. So I kind of like that chaining move. Moving on down, we do have our first cooldown ability. It's going to be available in turn 1 and have a 4-turn cooldown. Increase attack and defense 250%. 50% and then 150%. So for 2 turns, you're really buffed up. It gives you the attack buff. Remember the attack buff you got from the Limit Burst of the Berserk that was really strong? Well, you get that just by casting this, 250% here. Then it goes down to 150% after 2 turns. It also enables you guys to be able to use Finisher and Heavy Attack for 6 turns. So you guys are just using that pretty much for the whole fight. It's available there for you. And then it puts an auto revive on you. I think this ability is fantastic. Taking a turn maybe to buff up and put that auto revive on you. If you can take that turn off, this attack, which really you are going to, the 250% I think is worth it. It's going to be very good for you. Moving on down, we have Pet the Pod. Restore HP 3000 and MP 60 to caster. Increase limit burst gauge by 5 to caster. And this can be double cast. You can see up here, Pet the Pod is here in the double W cast. So it can be double cast in 1 turn. So essentially you're gaining a crap ton of MP back, even negating the cost, right? Because if you cast it, you're gaining 30 total. It costs 30, but you're gaining 30. You get your HP back, and more importantly, it puts your limit burst up, which we all know that her limit burst was really good to begin with. We'll see what it does down here at the bottom at 7-star. And lastly, we have Hateful Blade, which is available on turn 3 and has a 3-turn cooldown, so you're going to be able to do it after, you know, turn 3, and then 2 turns later, you're going to be able to cast it again. It increases her physical damage against machine types for 100%. So machines are just going to melt to obviously 2B and A2. I mean, it's just how they work. Move over Olive. No, I'm just joking. Olive's still amazing. But, you know, you know how these units work. And then it does physical damage 18 times to 1 enemy. This is a great finisher. So you can add this into your group. Let's see if we can W-cast Hateful Blade. Let's see if that's in there. It does not appear to be in there. I was thinking it'd be cool if you could... I guess you could chain and then try to finish with Hateful Blade, but it doesn't look like that's going to work out. So you're going to have to do this on your own. Maybe finish another combo, maybe between Lauren and... I guess double Lauren would be something you could finish. Something like that, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to think of things. Maybe 2 pod users since pod's back. But something you could do there. Let's go down and look at the passive she gets at 7-star. So we get Berserker, which thank God it doesn't put her in Berserk mode. Increased physical damage against machines about 50%. She already had 100% here, 100% there, 1,000,000% here. The machines are dead to her. Increased attack 50% when equipped with a greatsword. So this is going to be very important. It looks like we're wanting to put a greatsword into her hand. That is her TMR. And here comes the part that really is starting to crush users, 7-star users that have weapons as their TMR, right? And definitely ones that aren't element-wise, okay? TMR equipped. Increase equipment attack 40% when dual wielding. So A2 could dual wield, but then it takes away the W cast, right? When you're dual wielding, you're not really using that W cast, so I don't really see this as an option. I mean, it's always an option, but I don't see it as the best option for her. We get some physical evasion. I think it puts her up to 30% physical evade eventually. I think, did I read that right? Does she have, yeah, she has 20% here, yeah, so 30% physical evade, and then increase equipment attack 150% and accuracy when single wielding one-handed. So this is just double hand, this is not true double hand, okay? But I don't think it's as bad as people think. However, let's reel that back in. I don't think you're using this. I don't think you're getting this TMR. If you're building A2, in my opinion, you're gonna build her double hand, and I'll explain in a minute, I know, but listen, you could skip all of this, right? Like, because of double hand being so easily to obtain, to get to 300%, because double hand has been given out in the King Mog thing, just hear me out for a minute, okay? I think you're skipping this TMR equip thing. Just to say in the future, eventually, for people who have STMRs, there will be a change to the game where TMRs or STMRs will activate these TMR abilities. So that will be a big change for a lot of these, like Ellis Barris, any unit that has a weapon they have to use that isn't that great, that's their TMR, kind of holds them captive because of that TMR. That will change for their STMR. Does everybody have 4 of the unit? I don't think so, but it does make the unit better for people that do. So I think we just skip over this altogether. It does give you true dual wield, but we're not going to be doing that. And it does give you 150 double hand, but I think we can get there with some of our true double hand equipment, etc. We do have this passive which saves us, right? Increase equipment attack 100% when single wielding one-handed weapons. The reason I really like this, and I know a lot of people don't, think about all your Heos that you use, right? All of your Heos are using one-handed great swords, guys. They're using lightning great sword. They're using the fire great sword. I see some people using the Excalibur in their hands. They're using single-handed greatswords, and the reason being is the element is that important. Now, there are going to be more two-handed weapons out there that are better. High-attack greatswords you're going to have to imbue, but a lot of people don't want to deal with that. A lot of people are just doing the straight-up damage with the single-handed weapons. Is A2 going to do as much damage as Hyo? Definitely not, right? They just isn't going to be enough. However, if you are wanting to use A2, this is the path I see myself using if I was going to use her. I'm just going to slap on the Flaming Blade Eye Agni, or the Tyrannotus. I don't know, I'm saying all that wrong. But I'm going to put that on her, and I'm just going to work with that. I'm going to get my greatsword passives, and I'm just going to build her up with double hand, plus this attack 100%, and then I'm going to throw another 100% on her, maybe Buster style or something, to allow her to get the full potential out of that. And that's how I think I'm going to use her. And then I'm also going to use W cast, okay? Moving on down, we get attack 30%, increased MP 20%, increased spirit 40%, increased to, let's see. No! How do they not give... Wait. Okay, wait. How do they not give, they gave avoid heavy attack more, but they didn't give offensive combo anything. Dude, offensive combo needs more stuff. Wait, where are we at? Sorry. But we do get avoid, you know, most of our abilities get some modifiers added on. We get a 7.5 modifier added on to the physical damage from one enemy, avoid heavy attack, which I think is what you're kind of moving into to use anyway when it comes to chaining with her. But still, it's not the lowest, but it's not the highest either. One good thing, though, we're looking at here before we finish out this review on A2, we are missing enhancements for both A2 and 2B, right? So these units could get even better. And already speaking of these units, this unit is going to get better because of the absolute mirror of equity popping off there with more units to chain for. And because, again, if the STMR thing happens, this STMR is amazing. And then you can throw whatever two-handed greatsword you want on her and start popping off with her as well. Okay, so we're done with the passives here. Let's go ahead and look into what her Berserk gets. Because remember, A2 used to be a unit where you would use the limit burst, and then you would go nuts, right? You would just use offensive combo and kill. I remember the Marlboro trial when it first came out. This was our go-to strategy. It looks like we go from physical damage 4.5 times to physical damage 10 times to all enemies. Now, this is much, much lower, from what I understand, than the JP counterpart. They for some reason didn't buff up this limit burst very high. As high as it should have been. The damage should be there a lot more. Increased attack 30%, 300% for 2 turns to cast her, which is going to be 50% higher, I do believe, than we first did it. So that's going to be great, but it's only for 2 turns. But then we have a 5-turn, 250% attack buff. She's going to be very attacked up. She's going to have a lot of glowing red happening to her. And she does a little damage to herself. Honestly, the limit burst is really lackluster. I think that Gumi and Square Enix should have kept the damage there to help her, because overall, if we're talking about A2, so let's switch off to that now. The limit burst was very disappointing on the upgrades. A2 overall can be used as a damage dealer, and I think in the way that I told you, building her double hand, using Flaming Blade Agni, using Tyrantus just like every other Heo in the game is using, but you have to be able to use her with another A2. Or, you know, CG Lastwell, Dracu Lastwell. Those are the units you're going to be looking to chain with if you can. Problem being is CG Lastwell is going to be mostly true dual wield, so her chaining abilities are going to be very limited to other A2 units. She actually doesn't put up the damage output that you would really hope she could. It's not going to be lackluster by any means, I don't think. I think you're going to be able to go in there and use A2 if you want to by the way I described, but she's nothing game-breaking. She's nothing insane. She will get better over time, obviously, with enhancements and then the STMR and TMR change. But for right now, she's just kind of a lackluster unit that has a real hard time chaining with people because she doesn't have a lot of options. Next up, we have 2B, and honestly, I think the 2B version of our version compared to the JP version actually better as well. I know a lot of people are going to hate on me for the A2 one, but the 2B one, you got to give me a thumbs up, man. I think this is the way it's going to be, dude. Moving on down, maybe I'm just an optimist. Maybe I'm just positive. I see uses for both of these units. You can use A2 to chain, and I think you can use 2B to be a little bit of a chainer, a little bit of a... I know it sucks to say worse Lauren, but hey, you gotta say what you gotta say. Moving on down to our TMR, we already know about that Virtuous Contract. That's gonna be rough. Again, it is an elementless, single-handed weapon, so the whole true double hand is going to fall flat if that's what the way we want to use 2B, which it's not, if that happens. But thank God 2B is not gonna be a true double hand user anyway. She's gonna be a true dual wielder, so we're gonna be able to use that going on down. Her STMR is incredible as well. We get a lot of attack buffs if you have a sword, katana, spear in your hand. I really wish that was greatsword. Why isn't that greatsword? Oh, that'd be so good. I guess maybe that's why. No, it could be greatsword. Anyway, increased physical and magic damage against humans. That really should have been greatsword in my opinion. To give us the 80%, just like A2 got 80% with a greatsword. Well, if we're using this on dual wielders, greatsword and a katana, it's pretty good. Way to go. And then we also get 2B or not to be. That's it's called or not to be. It's not really that great of an ability. It can instant KO people or it can do lightning damage. Don't really care about that too much. Maybe I'm overlooking that. Let me know in the comments below, but I didn't see anything crazy there to worry about. Moving on down with 2B here. Honestly, she, again, just seems like a copy of Lauren, giving her the ability to do damage while also supporting and doing some good damage, but her chaining families just aren't as good as Lauren. That's like a little overview here. If we look at Supreme Support Weapon, again, this is different from the JP counterpart. The whole unit's different. Well, Well, not entirely, but there are differences. Turn 1, you can use it, a 7-turn cooldown. Now, that means 6 turn. If we look at Lauren's ability that's like this, and it's similar because it does break 70% to all enemies for all stats. I think Lauren's is 1 cooldown lower, allowing her to be able to cast this mega cooldown a little bit faster. But there are some things leaning in 2B's favor as well. If we look at this ability, we increase our attack and defense by 250%, which is amazing. It enables 6-turn uses to avoid attack, True Charge Blade, True Charge Spear, and True Charge Volt, which are all the better abilities that we had unlocked before. We're obviously going to use this on turn 1 for those amazing breaks, and we get to unlock 2B's entire kit by using this, or most of her kit by doing this. And then we also, again, decrease attack, defense, magic spear by 70%. I cannot state enough how amazing this is. It's to everyone, multiple enemies, all stats being broken by 70% for 3 turns. That is awesome. The cooldown on it's a little bit long, but hey, I think we're going to counteract that a little bit with something later in her kit. Looking down here at the next cooldown ability, it's available on turn 4, and it's a 3-turn cooldown. It says 4, but again, guys, if you haven't been hearing me say this in multiple videos, if you're looking at the wiki, it is referring to, it also takes out the turn you use it, so it's actually a 3-turn cooldown. Lightning physical damage 15 times to one enemy, which is amazing. Decrease attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 50% for 3 turns to one enemy. So just in case we don't get our LB going here, we can use this to just do a 50% AoE, not AoE, excuse me, 50% all stat break to the boss if we need to, which is 50% is still good. Not as good as 70, but it's still good. Enable skills to be used for 4 turns to cast her. Extract speed and the slaughter dance, which we'll talk about in a minute, being down below. And it also chains, and this ability is going to hit pretty hard. It chains with the Graviton Cannon family. Now, the Graviton Cannon family will be increased later on. It's not very big right now. If we go ahead and click on it right here, we have Ellisparis and 2B. That's it. But this is another one in JP where they start releasing more units to be able to chain with it. This could be something you're looking forward to in the future, maybe to chain with other people. But it's kind of weird because it's on a turn 4. You have to wait till turn 4 to be able to use it, so it seems more to me like you might be using 2 2Bs. Referring to if you should keep 2 2Bs, I think using 2 2Bs instead of getting the STMR is actually more viable here than it was with A2, considering that we have this move right here that we want to chain with. We kind of want to just keep juggling around the breaks, and then our LB chaining is going to be great as well. So I think that's one of the units where you possibly want to keep 2 of. Especially because we get the dual wield build, which sounds like it'd be harder to build, but it actually isn't, Moving on down, let's look at our passives we have here. We have our TMR equipped passive, and again, it's not going to be so bad because we're actually going to build to be dual wield. Increase attack and defense 30%, increase equipment attack 100% when single wielding any weapon. We're not doing that. Recover MP 7% per turn and upgrades LB. So you might be asking yourself, Claic, why are we caring about this or using our TMR at all if we are going to be dual wielding? We don't want that true double hand she has there in her kit, which is actually, I hate that. I don't even know why that's there. I mean, nobody's going to be using it right now, at least. Because it upgrades your LB, okay? So upgrading that LB is going to be very important. 2B's LB has always been amazing, and it gets even more amazing at her 7-star. Moving on down, we get some more stat buffs, increased physical damage against monsters, but we do get 50% to true dual wield, okay? And with all the global exclusives and items that allow us to get to that cap for the true dual wield, the 50% is going to be massive here. I think you're building your true dual wield. I think you're putting our katana in one hand, and you're putting an amazing elemental sword or great sword in the other hand, however way you guys want to build her. She does have dual wield innately, so you're not going to have to worry about putting dual wield on her. I think she's a dual wield unit, guys, and I don't think she's a bad one either. I think she's very, as a support damage dealer, she's not going to be a high-end damage dealer. She's not going to be pumping out tons of damage. However, she does have the ability to do pretty well as a dual wielder. Now, if you do want to go single wielding, if you do want to do the true double hand build, it's not as bad because she does have an ability to imbue lightning on her physical attacks. So you could use her TMR up here, the Virtuous Contract, and then just use that ability to lay on your attacks. You could try to go with the whole fixed dice build with her as well, because that was the thing in the past and still is present to this day. However, you don't end up getting the upgraded LB, and I think I kind of like the upgraded LB a little bit more than fixed dice. That's just me, though. Moving on down, we get more stat buffs. We get a void attack and extract speed going up by 1 times. And then autocast Blade with a quiet volition here at the start of battle. So let's see what that is. Mitigate damage taken 10% to caster. Physical damage. Okay, so not that great. Looking at these other abilities that she unlocks, again, using her cooldown ability or other ways. We have a void attack, which is going to be a 10 times physical damage on one enemy. The chaining frames in this, again, you're going to be looking for a 2B to chain with. True Charge Blade, physical damage combo going up to a 12 times total. Increases limit burst gauge by 3. So you may be using this ability in order to, I'm gonna try to say this, to build up your LB, because your LB is really important here for 2B. You're looking to break, do some damage in between, LB, break, because the LB also breaks, we'll see in a second. True Charge Spear here, physical damage 6 times to all enemies, add lightning element to physical attacks for 5 turns to caster. So the problem with building her True Double Hand is you're thinking, okay, here we go. We got the adding lightning element so she can imbue on herself. That sounds awesome, Claic. Why aren't we building her True Double Hand? Well, she doesn't have W cast. I have yet to see a W cast in the kit. I've already looked at this, so spoiler, there isn't one. She can't W cast. She can't triple cast. There's none of that here. So that literally locks up True Double Hand, puts it in a box, and throws it away. So she's going to be dual wielding, guys. You're just going to have to deal with it. The Stardust family, the Stardust family Ray. The Stardust Ray, you only have one here. However, that does end up going, getting bigger. The family grows. I'm not going to say they're the best damage dealers in the world, but they do grow to people you can use. I think Eileen 7-star eventually gets this as well through some kind of like story quest or something. A Stardust Ray trainer. And we have to be knowledgeable in the fact that we don't know if Global is going to be adding more Stardust Ray or Graviton Cannon abilities, as we can see here. Lightning physical damage 11 times to one enemy. Decrease attack and magic 60%, and this is one that gets unlocked with the sword dance, and it's a Graviton Cannon. So guys, the chaining on her is going to be really strict. Same with A2, really strict right now, but eventually she's going to be able to open that up a bit with new units coming out and being able to expand. That's why I think Lauren is better anyway, because her there's tons of people that can chain with Lauren, right? But that doesn't mean that 2B doesn't have her spot in the meta. It doesn't mean that 2B can't be used. I think out of the two, I think 2B is better. And finally, we've gone over, let's look at Graviton Cannon again here. Well, not Graviton Cannon. We have True Charge Spear, and then we also have Yorha Slaughter Dance. Again, it's attack and magic 60%. It's a Graviton Cannon chaining family. These are actually, they actually hit pretty hard. They've hit pretty decent. But again, it's just gonna be hard to chain with. I don't want to hark on that too much, but that's what you're looking at there to use as her damage dealing abilities. Moving on down to her LB, essentially, again, guys, when using 2B, it is break, do some chaining in between, use her LB. That's how she's gonna work. Then wait for that cooldown of the breaks to happen again and break again. If we get this thing upgraded, so we use her TMR, which we are gonna use during her dual wield build, and we get it maxed out, it's gonna do 14 times with ignore defense 50%, which is a 28 times multiplier, 10 hits. And it's easy to chain as long as you have another 2B on your squad. It's going to be very good. Mitigate physical damage taken 20% to caster. I don't care about that. I don't even like that at all. I don't know why it's... I mean, I guess there's a reason why it's added in there, but it's not really for anything, like, significant to the game, in my opinion. But this is decrease attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 74%. 4 more percent. And when it comes to breaks, all percent matters a lot. Especially when it comes to mitigating damage that you're taking, attack and magic breaking, for 3 turns to all enemies. So... we can look at the LB cost here. It is a very low LB cost. It's not the highest in the world. And when I say very low, I'm just used to seeing the higher end ones like 40. So that is amazing. I think 2B is very, very good. Again, if I'm going to say Lauren's good, I do believe Lauren's better because she has an easier time chaining. Her cooldown ability also gives everybody LB up percent. I think it's 200%. So that's going to be big there too. But if you guys want to use 2B, you think she looks cool, you want to use her, you want to chain her up, I think 2B has a higher damage potential. I think she'll grow. And overall, I think 2B can eventually catch Lauren, especially with enhancements. Because again, guys, enhancements hasn't happened. So overall, I like 2B a lot. I think 2B is the star on the banner, like I said. The strategy, again, one more time. I know I keep harping on this, but I want it to sit in your mind. Is you break on turn 1, you do some damage in between, you LB melt something, you break, do some damage, LB melt something. That's how I see it with a dual wield build. Probably looking towards the lightning damage because a lot of her moves already add the lightning damage in there. Or I guess you can go elementalist and just hope your lightning damage elemental chains. So overall, guys, do you have to pull in this banner? I'm going to say yes for the 4 stars and below. You want to get those TMRs, guys. If you haven't gotten them yet, use some tickets, use some resources. You guys can farm up those TMR Moogles in the shop. That's going to be great for you. As far as these 5 stars, they're very skippable. Both of them. 2B, A2, skippable 100%. The STMRs are great, but they're not absolutely needed. Both of their TMRs are not very good anymore. They are very skippable. 2B is essentially a worse Lauren for now, could be surpassed. And A2 is just a mediocre in-between damage dealer. So, yeah, that's all I can say about that. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below how you feel. And if you're going to be using 2B instead of Lauren, let's see, 2B or Lauren. You guys decide in the comments. And then subscribe for future content. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.